We're getting closer and closer to the release of Ninjago Dragons Rising Season 4, so I thought we would go over everything we know about the character of Jay in Ninjago Dragons Rising, because Jay in Ninjago Dragons Rising is a very particular case. All the ninja were missing at the start of the show, but most of them were found by the end of Season 1, except for Jay, who continued to be missing for another season and a half, and when he finally reunited with the ninja, we finally found out why he had been so absent from the show. It was because he knew the location of Erin's parents, and if the show had allowed Erin and Jay to interact in previous seasons, then Raz wouldn't have been able to manipulate Erin, and the whole show's conflict wouldn't exist. Of course, we also know that Jay shattered his goodness, and that he lost his memories. We know how he shattered his goodness, but we still have no idea how he lost his memories. So we also have no idea how he's going to get them back. But focusing a bit more in the shattered goodness side of things, I think we can analyze this aspect a bit more, because we actually know how he shattered his goodness, and we have seen some signs that his goodness might be healing, but of course the question is how. At the end of Season 3, we see Jay coming back to help Nia, and he says that even though he doesn't remember her, she makes him not want to be a terrible person. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound very goodness shattered to me. But if his goodness really is healing, the question then becomes how. I have a theory that might explain why Jay's goodness didn't seem so shattered by the end of Season 3. But to understand that, first we need to explain how he shattered his goodness in the first place. He used one of the Wolf Warrior's masks. And as we know, those masks come from the Forbidden Five. And what's the source of the power of the Forbidden Five? Thunderfang. That's the whole reason the Forbidden Five spent all of the first half of Season 3 trying to free him, because they wanted even more power. So, if the Forbidden Five's power comes from Thunderfang, I think it's somewhat safe to assume that that's also where the corruption of the wolf masks come from. In other words, the corruption of the wolf masks comes from Thunderfang. And by the end of Season 3, that source is destroyed. So my theory is that when Thunderfang was destroyed, so was the influence he had over the corruption of the wolf masks, which is what allowed Jay to somewhat heal his goodness by the end of Season 3, because the influence of the wolf masks was diminished. Now, of course, this theory is not perfect, because if we watch the final episode of Season 3, we'll see that by the time Jay comes back to help Nia, Thunderfang isn't defeated yet. So how could Jay break free from the influence of Thunderfang while he was still undefeated? The only explanation I can think of is that by this point the battle between Thunderfang and the Archdragon of Focus had already begun. So maybe that's what weakened the corruption Thunderfang had over Jay. The only other possible explanation I can think of is that the corruption had already begun to diminish when Erin defeated Thunderfang. But we don't really see any signs of that. As I said, his goodness doesn't seem unshattered until the end of Season 3. Whatever the case may be, we'll have to wait to find out in Season 4, where hopefully Jay's story will be further explored. And hopefully we'll finally get some answers about how Jay lost his memories, and if this has any further implications for his character. For once, I'm just glad that we finally have a full lineup of ninja suits for this year. I was beginning to grow tired of seeing sets of suits where we had everyone except Jay. I'm also glad to see that he's finally returning to his original hairstyle. Although in some of the promotional material we've gotten for Season 4, we can see that some of the ninja are still wearing the spectral suits. So maybe they will start out the new season with the spectral suits, and we'll obtain the new suits somewhere along the way. Similarly to how it happened at the start of Season 3, where everyone was still using the climber suits from Season 2. But if you ask me, I would have preferred if they started out wearing some of the other previous season suits, so Jay could also wear that version of the suit. Because as we know, there are a ton of Jay suits that are just not canon right now. And if they had brought back some of the previous season suits, that would have given Jay the chance to make canon at least one of them. Also, who knows if Jay will start out the season with his rogue hairstyle, or if he'll have his regular hairstyle from the beginning. But anyway, what do you think will happen with Jay in Season 4? Do you know any other explanation as to why Jay's goodness seems to be healing? Or how Jay could potentially get his memories back?